Now at 10, an argument outside a Northside nail shop turns deadly. Bullets flying in the back alley. People at nearby businesses ducking for cover. Tonight, brand new insight from an eyewitness on what went down. Eyewitness News reporter Henry Ramos with the moments leading up to the gunfire.
So I just went to go wash my car.
Michael Mancha's car wash was anything but ordinary.
I heard 4 loud pops and sounded like gunshots.
He turned around and looked across towards the alley of Cozy Nails Lounge.
I saw a man standing there with a gun.
He says that is when 2 car wash employees started yelling.
And she was just yelling at everybody, get in your car, go, 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 get out, get out.
Mancha left, but before he did, he says he saw the gunman yelling.
I saw that he had a gun, and then I was like, oh, that was gunshots. But I couldn't really tell if it was defensive gunshots, if he was chasing someone.
San Antonio police say the suspect and another man were arguing inside the nail salon off Blanco Road, and it escalated outside. The victim in his 40s died at the hospital. Mancha, who moved to San Antonio just days ago, is glad he is safe.
It's pretty intense.
What a welcome. Henry joins us live from the scene of the shooting. Henry, did police say why those 2 men were arguing?
Investigators did not, Deborah, only that the 2 were yelling here inside. And as I mentioned, police say the suspect, who has not been identified, took off. They were able to catch him not far from here. The only thing we know about the alleged shooter is that he is 42 years old. Investigators also said that this was a targeted incident. We're live here on the north side tonight. Henry Ramos, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.